Strategies for Online Learners. This webinar is brought to you by the Center for Teaching and Research Excellence at Chicago State University. The purpose of this training is for you to define the term netiquette, be able to provide examples of good and bad netiquette, and identify netiquette strategies to embed in your courses. How do you define netiquette? Netiquette is internet etiquette. It's the act of exhibiting professionalism through the network. It is showing respect, tolerance, and patience of others on the internet. It is the code of acceptable behavior users should follow while on the internet. That is the conduct expected individuals for online. It is important because technology has changed the way we communicate and teach. There has been an increased use of technology, and that invisibility can create a condition that contributes to reduced self awareness. How are students acting online? Are they aware of it? There are different types of online communication. We email, we have discussion forums, we have chat rooms, we Skype, we blog, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, Google Docs, discussion boards. So many different ways we should make sure that we follow netiquette rules. There are do's and don'ts for netiquette. Let's start off by reviewing some of the netiquette do's. Day one, create a safe environment. A good rule of thumb is to use the Student Code of Conduct Handbook as a reference. Make sure your students know to recognize cultural, technological, and language differences in your classroom. Apply the same rules you would in a face-to-face environment. Remind your students to dress the part. Be alert of changes in your students' behavior. Only use capitalized if you're using it to make a point. Remember, all caps means shouting. Make sure you share those expectations on the first day of class. Promote and practice digital citizenship. You should do this again on the first day. Your goal is to develop an online community of learners. Again, make sure you tell your students to model openness, honesty, and humor. Online learning can be fun. Digital citizenship is not just a concept, it is a standard. The Illinois Society for Technology Education says students should recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world. They should practice legal and ethical behavior. Make sure you use abbreviation acronyms for phases sparingly. Be careful when using sarcasm and humor. It might offend someone else and be misinterpreted. Respect time and bandwidth. Someone's bandwidth might not be the same as yours, which means they're a delay in speed. Remind your students to dress appropriately if they're using webcams. Good suggestion also is to mute their microphones if they are not speaking. Also encourage students to avoid using other devices while you're engaged in your synchronous classes. You as an instructor should record your sessions to allow viewing at a later time. Forum etiquette tips is think and read messages before you post. Remember, once they're there and you hit send, they're out there. Again, avoid using all caps. This is shouting. Be mindful of typing learners' typing speed. Everyone does not type 70 words per minute, and it might take them a little longer. For email etiquette, use an informative subject heading. Make sure you use the to, CC, and BC appropriately. And you might want to encourage your students to send you messages that way they can be easily found and sorted in your email. Let's go over some don'ts. Don't allow one individual to dominate discussions. Share the conversation. Keep your learners engaged. Also remind your learners not to use offensive language. You want to make sure that information is in your classroom rules. Dress, make sure you dress appropriately on camera and don't promote flaming discussions. Also, don't use a tone of communication that might suggest sarcasm or negative emotion. Don't ignore conflict online. Recognize it just like you would in a face to face environment. Don't use inappropriate jokes. Again, someone might take them personal and be offended. Quiz. Typing in all caps electronic communication means what? It means you're shouting. Again, the golden rule for Netiquette is human. Everyone is human. Remember that on the other side when you're having your online course. Final thoughts for this webinar are number one, human being is on the other side of your communication. Always remember that. Etiquette is important online as it is offline, and treat others online as you would like to be treated.